What happens when Dave Rubin pushes back? David Frum edition. What happens when Dave Rubin pushes back against a guest? Dave Rubin, host of The Rubin Report, is infamously known for not pushing back against some of the stupid and often demonstrably false things that his guests say. Now, this is not entirely true, as occasionally he does push back. Let's take guest David Frum, for instance. Who is David Frum exactly?
And Chris Hayes, that little dork on MSNBC. All of you people who've gotten everything wrong. Bill Kristol, you've gotten everything wrong. David Frum, you've gotten everything wrong. You guys got to go away now.
Okay, he's a loser who gets everything wrong all the time. Fair enough. Fortunately, Dave Rubin did have him on his show before. While he was busy getting everything wrong, Dave actually does push back against him.
With the collapse of socialism, that argument ended. The modern left is not really a socialist movement anymore. People will sometimes use the word, but back in 1950, there were people who really thought that if the government owned the banks would make better lending decisions than they did. Than they would if they were private. No one thinks that now. I don't even think...
Really? You don't think that there's plenty of people on the left that think that? That it's just... we'll just sort of incrementally get there.
There are 330 million people in the United States. There's somebody who thinks every...
No, I don't mean no one, but I mean that if Bernie was president, that eventually the creeping movement of this... Yeah, Elizabeth Warren, movement...
I think Elizabeth Warren does not want the government to own the banks, no. I believe that Elizabeth Warren does not think government should own the steel companies. She doesn't believe that government should own the commanding heights of industry. I'm sure she does not believe any of those things.
I don't know about owning it, but what about just controlling it to the point where, in effect, it's ownership? I don't think specific ownership.
I don't think she thinks they should manage it. She believes in a social market economy. If you were to say to her, what is the best run country on earth? Bernie always used to say Denmark was the best run country. Denmark is a free market society. It's got a bigger social insurance system than the United States.
Jesus Christ. I would not want Dave Rubin to be in charge of mounting a defense at the border wall. Dave Rubin went out with a fucking whimper. Think what you will of Elizabeth Warren and her policies and where that falls on the political spectrum. But stopping the spread of socialism is one of the two things that Rubin pretends to care about, the other being the fight against wokeness. Since Elizabeth Warren represents both problems in Dave Rubin's world, you would think that he would have some very specific examples in his back pocket of how Elizabeth Warren represents socialism. That would have been a perfect time for Dave to cite some of those examples to further the dialogue with the guest who got everything wrong during this entire interview. I can only come to the conclusion that Dave doesn't actually have those examples anywhere in his arsenal. And he doesn't know what he's talking about. If I were Dave, I would stick to having guests on that parrot his talking points better than he does. That way, he wouldn't look like such an idiot.